Today I want to show you how I adjust and lubricate my clutch cable on my 2014 Victory Cross Country Tour. The tools we're going to need for this project is a rag, a 10mm socket, a 14 and 13mm wrench, some grease. I like using the white lithium grease because it comes out white and it turns black as it's used. And I use a couple of Q-tips. The clutch cable adjustment is right here on the right hand side of the engine. You don't normally have to take off your side cover, but I'm going to do that just so we can get a closer view of this. So on my clutch cable adjustment right here, there's a jam nut on the bottom to keep it from moving. I'm going to put my 13mm wrench on the top part, my 14mm wrench on the nut, and I'm just going to break it off and loosen it down all the way with my fingers, and then turn the top part all the way to loosen the slack of the cable. We're now on the left hand side of the bike, right beside where the clutch arm is. With the adjustment all the way in, you should easily be able to pull this out, clean it all off, wipe all the grease off everything, inside, outside of the arm. With the cable released down below at the clutch arm, we're now going to work on our lever. There's a bolt right here. Down on the other side of this is a 10mm nylon locking nut. I'm going to use my 10mm socket and I'm going to take this off. I'm going to pull this pin out, which releases the entire brake lever, and I'm going to remove this end of the cable. And again, we're going to clean all of the old grease off of the cable. Now, a cable can technically break anywhere, but most commonly it's going to break where it gets twisted. So what I would do is I would inspect the cable right at the end of the cable stop for anything that's frayed or worn or anything. Feel around, see if you can feel anything breaking. Take a look at it. You should have a clean cable going right into the cable stop. If you see any fraying at all, then the cable is starting to break and you would have to replace it. Do this at both ends. Clean all the old grease off of the brake lever and the bolt. On the brake lever, you're also going to have a bushing right inside here. I'm going to pop that out, and I'm going to clean that as well. I'm going to take some of my white lithium grease and I'm going to put it onto a Q-tip, and I'm going to put some grease on the inside of my levers. I'm going to put some on the outside of my bushing. I'm going to take some more grease and I'm going to put it all around the barrel end. Then I'm going to take the cable and I'm going to insert it into the end of my brake lever and place it back into its housing. Now the bolt has an indent on the back side of the head. It only goes in one way into the hole. So we'll put it in and we'll turn it from the bottom, turn it until it sinks in. And then I can take my 10mm nut, holding the top, and put the nut back into the bolt. Back down at the clutch arm, I'm going to lubricate the inside and the cable stop on the cable. And it should be easy enough to get this in. And you can always wipe off just the outside of the clutch arm just to make it nice and shiny. So now that the cable is all lubed up, what we have to do now is adjust our cable. We're going to take our adjustment and we're going to turn it back. This is where we're just going to get it into a rough spot first and do our final adjustments as we test out the lever. So while I'm still standing on the right hand side of the bike, I can reach the clutch lever and try it to see where it plays. You can see now that there's flop right here. I don't like that. I want it to move about 1/8 of an inch, not the end of the handle 1/8 of an inch, but the cable itself. And of course it's hard to see it. You can't see it inside the housing, so you sort of have to go by feel. But I like a little more adjustment than this. Press it in, make sure you do this first just to seat the cable stops into the housing and into the clutch lever, and then go from there. So this is a bit too much, so I'm going to tighten it up some more. Just a couple of turns, half a turn. Still got some play on here. Keep going. I like that, right about here. I got a little bit of play, as you can see. At the same time, I'm watching the clutch lever, the clutch arm down here, and I want to make sure that while I'm moving around the lever, that the clutch arm does not move. You don't want it too tight that this is going to be moving with just barely touching the lever itself. So this way I got a little bit of play. The clutch arm is not moving, and that should be about it. I'm going to tighten down the jam nut, and that's all there is to it. And that's it. That's all there is to it. 5 to 10 minutes. You got a freshly greased cable. You know it's in good shape. No fraying at the ends. And I do notice a difference when I take it out for a ride after freshly greasing it. It's just smoother. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good day.